Yeah, look, they said that I couldn't do it, so I went and did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, I've been on a mission.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get it. Got a little time on my hands like a wristwatch. I don't got time for the breaks and the pit stop. Race through the gridlock, take it like Chris Rock. Right to the chin, still win. Heavy metals like Slipknot.
We'll just jump into that. And we'll talk a little bit about the Trump trial and anything else that comes up in between there. It doesn't really matter. Okay? All right, welcome to another episode of Real Capital Podcast, where we're going to shoot the breeze tonight. We're laid back. It's 10 o'clock. I got the famous flat earther, John Baxley.
Never know.
Gotta be known for something, even if we don't know for sure. Devin Wilcox, and I'm your host, Jared Halsey, and we're going to jump right into our first topic, Israel and Iran. I got an interesting take on this, personally. I've listened to a bunch of people and kind of taken bits and pieces from everybody, but I want to hear what everybody has to say. So,
See, I knew he was going to say this for last.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When we let our guests go.
Yeah, what's your opinion?
Well, I know this. It's a little interesting fact that Iran used to be the Persia of the Bible that it speaks about. So if that has any play of what's to come, I don't know a whole lot, but I just know that their government is the bad guys.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of Christians in Iran. There's a massive movement of Christians going in through Iran. It's kind of led by a mixture of people, but actually a lot of women kind of underground. It's kind of an unsaid thing. Probably shouldn't say it on here, but
You had to hear it.
so it's kind of almost like the United States. You have the government that makes us look a certain way to other countries, and you have us, and we're not really. Majority of us are not with the government, and they're the same way. So it's like, how do we want Israel to respond? Do they not respond? Is it going to cause a World War III? So
You think it is?
if the United States jumps into it and Iran keeps going, then
Russia's already said what they said.
I don't know what Russia said. I do know this.
Russia said they would back Iran.
Yeah, so it would be. I think it'd be World War III.
China's going to back them too.
I think that Iran, the way they scheme, how they want to cause fear, so they are going to scheme and try to antagonize different things just to keep themselves in power. That's what I've heard.
We got Skittles. If you want
I definitely want Skittles.
You can't have the yellow ones.
I don't know. What about you? Nobody wants the yellow ones.
No, I like the yellow ones.
I know you do. Nobody does though. What about you? You got nobody on your shirt, so.
Oh, we're not talking about Skittles anymore. We're talking about. All right. Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's Valley John. I mean, really don't know.
Well, does anybody know why Iran randomly attacked Israel? Because nobody talks about this.
It's
So
not
do with
random
Hamas.
Israel literally towed the line. So, like, we have this international treaty where, as a group of nations, we all agreed, we're not going to bomb innocent civilians. We're not going to do this. Also, the
Diplomatic
U.S. embassy in Syria is the United States territory within Syria. As long as they allow us to have it, that's our sovereign area, whether it's an acre or a building or whatever. And we do the same thing and all that. Well, you can't just go in there killing people. Israel went in there to an embassy, I want to say it was in Syria, one of those places, and assassinated top Iranian general inside of an embassy. But the way they did it, they just barely skirt the line of illegal internationally versus not illegal. They barely got away with it. So this is retaliation from that, which happened just a little bit ago. So Israel literally invited this. They asked for it. They could have done any other kind of covert mission they wanted, but they didn't. They went into an embassy and killed this person. Murdered him, assassinated him. He probably deserved it, but they asked for this. And Iran shot those missiles. The United States had more than a 48-hour heads up. All the other countries around had a heads up they were going to shoot. And also, from our intel, Iran has way better missiles and drones than what they used.
Right.
These
They said
were
they were
outdated,
never to-
cheap,
Yeah.
Nothing missiles that they were never going to use or couldn't use because they were just outdated. They were going to get shot down for sure. That's why 99.9% of the hundreds of missiles that they shot were shot down. And they probably wasn't going to hit their target anyways. Iran, this was their way of telling their people that, look, we fought back. They killed our guy. But look, man, we shot like 200 and something missiles over at them. And Israel basically responded by shooting missiles that actually did hit in Iran, but they hit nothing targets. And they did it on
That was
purpose.
last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did it on purpose. This is their way of saying, we can get to you easier than you can get to us. But in the grand scheme of things, Israel asked for this. They did it. Iran is not a good actor, by no means, don't get me wrong, but Israel started this. By every report that I can find, that's the chain of events that led up to this.
So what do you think they killed that general? Have you heard anything on that?
Yeah, they assassinated him in an embassy.
What
Why?
benefit? Yeah, what benefit did that give to? Israel?
Well, I mean, he was a bad guy. I think they had an opportunity and they took it. But if you look into it, what you'll find is like it was something. The way they did it was so barely legal. I mean, barely legal. Like, I don't even know how to explain. It's a federal offense to shoot inside a building. Like if you were to, if you were going to shoot a possum walking by because you thought it was rabid, but you actually missed, or the bullet ricocheted and went into somebody's house, that's a federal crime. Accident, federal crime. But in the county where we don't have any kind of like laws, like if you see like an animal on your property, you can shoot it. Well, if you shoot at that animal and it misses and it doesn't go into a house, that's totally legal. You might be a bad shot. You might have been stupid for doing that. You should have, tried to do it better than you did it, but not illegal. Shoot it, miss it, hit in a house, illegal. You see what I mean? Like it's very close. Israel did that, basically. They read the law very carefully, took their time, probably had their lawyers and everything else trying to figure out what they could do and how to get this guy, and they got him.
I'm surprised laws even matter nowadays when it comes to stuff.
Well, but they have to, because if Israel wants money from the United States and every other country, they have to toe those, they have to weigh it all out. Now, that being said, I'm not here to dog on Israel because, like with the whole war on Hamas and all that, Hamas had to come out and redo their numbers. First, they were reporting 30,000 innocent civilians dead. They lowered it by 10,000 the other day. Hamas did. Not the UN, not Israel, not anybody. They lowered it from 30,000 to 20,000.
Why they did that?
Because they're liars. They're liars. And they probably didn't have a choice but to... They probably knew it was going to come out eventually, and then they were going to lose their backing and their funding and their aid and everything else that they're getting. So it's probably easier to just go ahead and shine a light on that now as opposed to let it come out later and then you look really bad. I don't know. That's just my thought process. But either way, they did. So all the reporting that we're getting, and Israel's doing this wrong and that wrong and all this, and I don't think they have free reign to just go in there and start killing everybody. But something we do have to take into consideration, I heard somebody say this the other day, I never thought about it like this. They say 30,000 women and children, basically, in that number. They're like, these are innocent women and children, blah, 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 blah. How many military stories have you heard of military snipers and personnel shooting 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15, 16-year-old kids with
Because they've
rocket
got
launchers?
a pipe bomb standing in the middle
Yeah.
of the road.
Like
and a
that's
rocket launcher.
culture over there. Like that's what they do. So but I mean, it doesn't matter if they were fighting military. If they're 16, 17 years old, perfectly capable of shooting you in the head with a gun, it's still considered a death of a child. So you could count that. And on top of that, I mean, even by polling that they're doing recently, Hamas is still, because it's Palestine. Hamas is the leadership. You know, they're the terrorist organization that leads it. They're still polling by all their people. And if you go back to the history, they pushed the Palestinians. They sent them to Lebanon, other part of Israel, and it was the Dark Night or something. It was, they basically said, y'all get out of here, and send them over there. Well, Lebanon was like the Paris of the Middle East. It was like this beautiful resort, nice. Everybody was vacationing there in this beautiful Mediterranean area, and it went to hell in a handbasket like within a few years, because that's what these people are. I mean, we're literally talking about a culture of people who, they are violent, they're trash, they're all that good stuff. So I mean, like,
Be careful. There's a whole lot of riots going on right now.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, look at it. Like, why won't Egypt take them? Why won't Jordan? Why won't Syria? Why won't Iran? Why won't any of them? They've all closed their border, and none of them want them. The only people who said that they will take care of them and give them housing and shelter is Israel. Israel's willing to do that. They just want to kill all the fighters. Like, they don't want to kill all the people. They hide behind the people. And, like, there is no Israel as long as they, because their charter for their country says, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Well, that means that everybody in between there has to die. That's a complete
Hamas
annihilation.
wants to kill them all.
That's a complete
Women,
annihilation of
kids,
Israel.
all of them.
Yeah.
What's that word Hamas mean?
I don't know.
I think it means, if you want to look it up,
Yeah, I'll look it up.
it's been around for a long time, kind of like the word Persia. I think it's translated into something like radical or crazy. It's been around for a long time. It talks about it in the Bible too.
I've seen something about that.
Man, I can't read this. Hamas, the acronym for Harakat al-Maqawama al-Islamiyah.
It's an acronym?
Yes. Islamic Resistant Movement. It's the largest, most capable military group in the Palestine territories. I can't get a definition. Yeah, I can't get a definition, but it basically it's an acronym for bad stuff. Yeah, they
Where
are.
did this come from?
It is a nasty group of people, and they're breeding people. It's just like the old story. And I know this is going to be super, super dark, and I'm not trying to sit here and say we should kill a bunch of innocent babies, but you know, if you, John Baxley, were standing over the crib of baby Adolf Hitler, 1 year old, sleeping in his crib, cute as piss, and you had the opportunity to stab that baby right in the heart, you had to do it. You had to kill a baby with a knife, your bare hands, or strangle it right there. Most people wouldn't be able to do that, even knowing that there's the opportunity to do that. But think about the lives you saved.
I couldn't do
You
it.
was Adolf Hitler?
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. And for many reasons. One, because
It would be tough. You think
doesn't
about it, you're
matter.
like,
It's a
oh
baby.
yeah, but then you're like,
This baby's done
it's a
nothing.
baby. You
This
know?
but he
baby's
was a
done nothing.
puppet. We talked about that already. Like that's the thing. You couldn't kill him because there's just going to be another one in his place.
He's got a good point.
Well, and another point to that is the lesser of two evils.
Mm.
So, like when we dropped those atomic bombs on Nakajima and Hiroshima and all those, whatever they were called, those places in Japan, Nagasaki and Hiroshima and all those. I mean, you could say, oh well, you know, we had to do that. You know, we think of, you know, because you know they were involved in World War. They were side with Germany and all that crap. So we had to go over there and, you know, teach him who's boss. You know, hoorah America and all that. But like we dropped atomic bombs on cities.
Yeah.
Now we, like 2 or 3 days ahead of time, we dropped a bunch of pamphlets and told them what we were going to do and what day we were going to do it. So all the people had opportunities, like millions and millions of these pamphlets. We dropped them in their language so they could read it and say, oh, piss, we got to get out of here because they're going to bomb this city. So we did that. But that being said, do you think is the right thing to do to drop an atomic bomb on a 100% citizen population city. We did that.
Yeah.
America did that. We bombed innocent cities for the greater good.
Was it for the greater good?
We don't know. Well, I mean, that's one of those questions we'll never know. Yeah, did it win us that part of the war? Yeah. I mean, you can't say that. I mean, there was, surrendering and crap shortly thereafter. But I'm just saying, like, that's the United States of America saying, like, this equivalent, let's put it into something a little bit, that's the equivalent of, Russia coming over here and saying, you know what, we don't like America, so we're going to bomb New York.
Yeah.
I mean, we bombed some of their biggest metropolis areas. I mean, these are cities that they built, lives, people who had homes there, they grew up there, they had businesses there, they had parks
You couldn't
there.
get New York, everybody in New York out of there in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is like the greater good thing. I get what the situation that Israel's in, and I know that there's so much different reporting. Like you'd have to like be on the ground to like have like a really good opinion for yourself.
Yeah.
But just based on everything that I've seen, I mean, I've seen drone footage of Israel bombing, shooting, the drones that shoot the bombs and stuff. It's not like drones shooting, but like the drone itself has a gun on it and it shoots down. Like we use B-52 with the little thing, and they've got it all on camera. And what appears to be innocent people, it doesn't appear as though they have guns or anything like that. It's not super clear footage, but it appears to be a group of innocent civilians, and they blow them up. And there's no explanation for that. And I know stuff happens in war and stuff like that. I mean, we've killed all kinds of innocent people, but I'm just saying, like, they should have to answer for that if it's what it is. You know what I mean? I mean, the thing about Israel is that we hold them to a higher standard than any other nation around there because they're the only democratic country in the entire region. So they have to be held to that higher standard. So you can't just say, Israel, go handle your business. Because, I mean, and they need to get rid of Hamas. I would rather, personally, I don't know the whole politics of everything over there. I would rather have seen, not that they can work with the United States, but I would rather have seen them try and handle the situation better than they handled it and wait for somebody like Donald Trump to get in office, whom they can actually sit down and have a conversation with and say, like, in partnership with the United States of America, we need to come in here and do this as good as we can possibly do it because the world's watching us. And they did it. And the whole Iran was behind that whole thing too, because come to find out that Iran, they're funding Hamas. But they did that to try and push Syria out of the Abraham Accords, which is the most significant peace treaty that we've gotten in the Middle East in 100 years, which Donald Trump headed up and Donald Trump got signed. And Syria was supposed to come in this past year, but they've backed off because they're a Muslim country and Israel is a Christian Jewish country, and they're blowing up Muslims. Bad, killing them big time. So Syrian's government can't be like, super excited about partnering with them. So they pulled out of the Abraham Accords and said, we're going to hold off for a while, and condemned Israel, even though they're not against Israel. So I mean, they're Israel's shooting herself in the foot. I mean, that's basically from what I can understand. I mean, all you can do is watch what you can watch, have common sense, and try and come up with some kind of your own thought process. Right. So that's all I've done. Just listen to a bunch of people, and all I know is there was a time where I would have loved to have went to Israel when I was younger, just to check it out. I'm a Christian. I want to see Mount Zion. I want to see, I want to float in the Red Sea or the Dead Sea. It's so salty. You just float around in there. It's it's not as it's very dense. It's not like it's normal. And there's some beautiful, beautiful spots over there.
Yeah.
But I mean, now, dude, they're just bombing crap like crazy. You can't go nowhere.
Well, I mean, I think you might have answered your question about why they killed that general. You know, I mean, if Iran is heavily involved with Hamas.
Here's the thing, though. It's the way they did it was the worst part to me.
Well, I'll
Maybe
say
the-
this: Hamas didn't care what they were doing. Not just murdering, but all the bad stuff, putting babies in ovens and raping them and all that stuff. Yeah,
Who's they?
Hamas was doing that to Israeli people when they
Yeah, when they come
attacked.
over the wall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know that.
it wasn't just like
Yeah, it wasn't
blazing them with a gun.
Yeah,
It was like
yeah,
I don't know
but
what the word is.
dude,
but
there's
it's bad.
still some questions to be answered from Israel's side of this too, because there's nothing tighter than the border around Israel, and there is reports that say that Israel had heard of an attack coming weeks prior. And not only were they not prepared, but there were no military personnel in an area where there's typically tons of military personnel. And it took them an hour for the military to get there, Israeli military. And I've listened to people say you can go from Tel Aviv to that border by helicopter in 30 minutes, 45 minutes. It's a small country, dude. It's an itty bitty area right there, okay? It's not that far away.
Yeah.
And it took them like an hour. The only people that were able to hold the folks off were literally the local police officers were going door to door trying to save people because there was no military. What the heck? Israel has some of the tightest defenses of any country. They've got some of the strongest, intelligence and surveillance of any country. And there was nobody, and nobody was there to answer, and nobody said anything.
That's like Spy Central.
Yeah, but that's a conspiracy in itself. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, really don't mind. Conspiracy. It's almost like how did the planes hit 9/11 towers?
There weren't planes. They were unmanned aircraft.
Was there even aircraft?
Yeah, I mean, people saw it. There's cell phone footage. They
Yeah.
looked like a plane, but the windows were blacked out. What it looked like.
Yeah. How do passports survive all that and be found, within the next couple of days?
I heard about that.
Yeah.
Did they just make up a bunch of names to put them in the memorial then?
No.
I got to go there.
No, passports from the plane crash. From
No,
the people that from the that's how they said who was the ones that killed.
I mean, they had
That-
flight. They had flight logs. They had people who had tickets. Plus, they had security footage of people that were on the plane with everything. So they knew who was on the plane regardless. The thing what I think ended up happening is those people were either kidnapped or killed or something happened to them. I don't think there was anybody on those planes personally. If they were, they went onto a plane that was specifically. I mean, that's the biggest conspiracy out there. I would love to hear that. That's the one that, because I mean, I was in second grade when that happened, and I remember it vividly. I mean, I remember tears in my parents' eyes and other people's. Like, I remember the feeling of patriotism when I was too young to even really know what that stuff was. I was 7, 8. I don't know what you are in second grade. It was something like that. So I mean, I would love to know the truth behind that. I certainly think that our government had something to do with it. I mean, I really do.
Yeah.
I think it was an oil grab. It was a power grab. It was a military grab. I mean, because that's what we did when we went over there. We started confiscating oil wells and stuff like that, taking their money away from them. I mean,
Yep.
and I heard Donald Trump say something the other day that it was several years ago. It was back when he was president. He's like, why, when someone attacks us, why do we go over there and not take their land? Like, if a government attacks us and we have to go defend ourselves and we go over there, like, why do we give anything back?
Right.
It's like, that's not yours anymore. And I never thought about it that way, but it's just like, yeah, like, why do we give Afghanistan back? I mean, that's state number 51 Like, no, y'all can leave. We're gonna turn this son of a gun into a freaking, New York City of the Middle East. Like, it's not
America
yours.
2.0.
Yeah, this is not yours anymore. You can leave. It's not yours. Like, I mean, they asked for it. Why not? I mean, I'm just about, if we're gonna go to war, we go to war to win. Period. We're gonna win. You want to go to war with America, or you're fitting to lose your front porch.
I don't think
That's
what
mine
war's
now.
about anymore. War's about lining the pockets of the munitions manufacturers. And,
Yeah, no doubt.
No
doubt. But I mean, that's my take on war. Period. And I think Israel's actually doing a decent job of that. I mean, they're literally taking that, and they should. I mean, anybody that's going to be like they are, they should. They absolutely should. I don't know what they're going to do with the people, because there's millions of people that live there, millions of Palestinians. I don't know what they're going to do with them, because like I said,
Isn't that supposed to be Jerusalem though?
Jerusalem's.
I thought that was supposed to be like part of Jerusalem or something like that, or something.
I don't know. So let's move on to Trump trial. They're trying to find jurors right now. They found 2 of them. I think it's impossible to find a juror that's going to be impartial to Donald Trump.
I don't know why they have to have jurors to make a verdict. Why can't they just say, this is the law, what evidence do you have? All right, I think he's innocent.
Well, but the problem is you have a DA and a judge that's corrupt.
Right.
So there's a good chance that he's found guilty of something. The problem is these are felonies, so they're going to have like, the jury's going to have to be 100%. So one juror saying, no, I think he's not guilty, and he's not guilty.
So what did is this back to the Stormy thing?
The hush money.
Is this the hush money?
But he used like illegal money for hush money?
They're trying to say he used campaign funds or something like
Yeah.
that. But I mean, there's a fine line with that stuff. I mean, look, Donald Trump, first of all, he's got loads and loads and loads of money. He doesn't have to use finance from campaign and stuff like that. If he's going to do something like that, you know how many lawyers went through all those decisions with a fine-tooth comb? That's why Donald Trump hasn't been found guilty of anything. They looked through his financial records in one lawsuit. They looked through this and that. They can't find nothing on the dude. Why? Because he's been doing this forever. Like, he came up a businessman in New York City,
I think it's
with his dad. His dad did it before him. Like, he got to watch somebody. He's not first generation. He's like second generation or more.
I mean, he turned that into something huge.
Yeah, I mean, he
But
did.
The presidency did nothing good for him in the financial region. I mean, his net worth is significantly impacted.
I think he was going for legacy.
Hmm.
I think he had the money, and obviously he had a legacy. But he had said this back in like the 80s on
Yeah.
Oprah Winfrey. You've seen the famous video where he's like, "I'll probably run for president one day, but if I do, the country will have to be in bad shape, and I'll have to really believe that I can come in and make a difference." And I mean, that's powerful words, because I mean, here he is, and we needed him, and he did make a difference, and hopefully he gets it again. Certainly compared to what we got,
Hopefully this time though, it's well, I know he said he wouldn't, go scorched earth, but hopefully this time that's just words.
Yeah, he's got to go
And
scorched earth this
yeah.
time. They asked him, is it going to be like revenge and everything when he gets in? And he said, we're just going to succeed a lot. We're not going to be worried about revenge. But I think that's kind of horse crap, because if he doesn't put a stop to what they did to him, what's to stop him from doing it to somebody else?
Maybe that's part of his succeed though. I mean, that doesn't have to be revenge, because that's elite. What they're doing is like so far past. I mean, it's past a witch hunt. I mean, this is just ridiculous. So
I'm trying to wear him out.
yeah,
Yeah, they're trying to hurt his finances. They're trying to hurt his name. They're trying to hurt his his stamina, his everything that he's got.
Well, my question would be, you may know this, Jared, or Dylan, is all the illegal immigrants that are coming in, what do you think they're going to do with that? They're going to make up voting
they're already
things
doing
for that?
They're
And they're just
I mean,
signing
New
away
York-
every night, and for every many you turn in, we're going to give you $700 a month.
right now. New York has 5 or 6 huge hotels, skyscrapers that are that only house these illegal immigrants now. It's like
They moved schools too.
$300,000 a day for one of them, for all, or a week, something like that, for all of the immigrants in there. They're trying to give them irrevocable rights to vote, but also, if you think about it, okay, so if they give them voters' rights, right, that means they have to be counted in the census, right? So they're counted in the census. They have voters' rights. Well, now you've got millions of more people in New York and in the other areas that are heavily Democratic, I don't even want to say Democratic, but heavily like left, you know. And now they have more delegates, right? I think I've heard that it was would be 13 more delegates for that side, which would greatly sway the vote. So, yeah, that's what I think. I think that's what they're actually trying.
If we look at this map right here, no ID required to vote. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 states. No ID required to vote.
Is that Florida and Texas?
No, that's going to be Nevada, Oregon,
Washington.
Washington is not.
No,
It's in Nevada,
Oregon,
Oregon,
sorry.
California.
That's inviting.
New Mexico.
Inviting.
Looks like Pennsylvania. No, not Pennsylvania.
Is that Ohio?
That's Virginia. That's Virginia? No, that's Virginia.
No, this-
That's this is South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia is above North Carolina.
It's West Virginia.
Yeah, that's West Virginia. Yes, and then New
New
York,
Jersey.
Maine, New Jersey. So those are places you can get no.
Well, what does that mean? No ID required to vote? Do you come in, you say, "Hey, I'm this person," or you come in and you say, "Hey, I just want to vote"?
I think it's probably you're still going to have to be registered,
Right.
but you can register in some of these states. So like New York, California, places like that, I do believe they're going to allow anybody to register if they want to register. Now the good thing for us is that it doesn't matter because most of these immigrants aren't going to take the time to go and register, so it doesn't matter. And it's not in every state. But here's the thing:
They're going to truck them to go do that.
But
They've
here's the
given
thing.
them, but you got to think about it. They give them everything. They give them food. They give them housing. They give them this, everything. They put them on these buses and they take them to where they want them to go. They're going to bus them to the voting polls to vote.
Or say you're not leaving until you get your mail-in ballot.
I don't know
Sure.
how accurate this is because it has Alabama in orange, and orange says photo ID requested, not strict. You cannot vote in this
I
city.
haven't been able to vote here.
You can't vote in this city without
Yeah.
you have to. First of all, you have to be registered, but you have to provide your license or an ID. They're going to scan it, and they're going to find your name in this book and match it to your address and all that good stuff.
Yep.
And if it doesn't match your license, then they're going to ask you, like, have you changed addresses or blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, it's not that strict because I've lived in the county and I still vote in the city for like the last 8 years of my life because my first house was in the city. So I
Yeah.
vote in the city all the time. So it's not like they're like crazy strict, but I mean, I still have all the requirements.
You still have to have your
I'm still
ID.
registered.
Yeah.
I still have to have my ID. So I don't know how accurate that is, but just the thought that there are a few, even if there's only 2 or 1 state that does that, and we know California, New York at least.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what they've done is they put all these immigrants there, and if they can come up with a way to make those voters, then you can guarantee that New York and California just got even stronger as far as for the Democrats.
It doesn't really matter. I mean, as long as they're counted in the census, it's really good. That's what's really going to affect.
No,
the
but
delegates.
they're not going to do. They're not going to be able to count a census.
Okay.
because-
Well, we said they weren't going to be able to vote.
Yeah, but I mean that's going to have to be that literally would have to be a law that Congress, the Senate, and the presidency would have to sign off on, and that's going to be incredibly
The
difficult.
census has already been done this year.
Yeah, and they tried to get all that, but they couldn't.
Yeah.
So all the ones coming in
New
at this
York,
point,
New York lost a delegate. Florida gained. Texas gained. I don't think California lost because they were able to skirt by or something. But like it did favor Republicans with the new census, and it will again. But they want to do that. Yes, that's going to be harder to do because they're going to have to pass that. They're going to have to
Yeah.
make that happen, and that's going to be difficult because you have to get Congress, the Senate, and presidency all to sign off on that. And that's to say that you don't have the Supreme Court coming in and saying, "Whoa, no, it's unconstitutional."
I really just think it's their goal. But what's 4 years to them?
I don't.
You know,
I think I think the easier thing to convince the American people of is that the Electoral College is old and outdated, and we just need to go to the popular vote. Then they get you, because state voting laws are made by the states. Each individual state, according to our Constitution, will decide the voting laws within their state. They'll have to write it, and they'll have to go by it. And federal can come in and say, "Hey, you're breaking your own laws," which is what they should have done in Pennsylvania when they started sending out mail-in ballots, even though that's against their Pennsylvania Constitution.
Yeah.
We should have stepped in and said, "No, you're not going to do that. You're breaking your own laws." But we did it, and they didn't. So they did it, and Trump lost Pennsylvania. But I think what they want to do is they want to get all these illegal immigrants in places like New York and California, where they can get them to vote because they can make their own laws on voting, not the census. That'd be harder. They want it, yes. But they can get them to vote. So if they do that, if they pad the votes in New York and California by, say, another 2 million, and like 12 million people that we know of has come through in the last 4 years. So if they can pad it by 8 million people, that's 8 million more votes in a popular vote, they would win every single time.
Yeah. So if they make it to where they can vote, they were going to have to prove some sort of. They're going to have to. Well, you can't be a non-citizen and vote, right? So they have to change something to allow a non-citizen vote, or to allow them to become citizens to be able to vote. So that's only two things they can do, unless they do it for just like sneakily, like the whole like them come in, they say a name, and dead people are voting again.
I just think I was a huge anti-electoral college when I was a teenager and in my early 20s until I got older, and I realized that if we didn't have the electoral college, our elections would be decided by California and New York because they're the heaviest population. And people are influenced by where they live. If you look at a map, even maps where Republicans, lost big time, the majority of the country is red.
Yeah.
The majority of our country is red, and you've got these close, tight-knit metropolis areas that typically go more Democrat, but they're very much like if you live in Chicago, you living in the city in Chicago or New York or places like that, you're not going out into the country and petting chickens and farming, riding four-wheelers typically.
Yeah.
You probably don't even own a car. I know people who live in Washington, D.C., over in Maryland.
Yeah.
They don't even have a car. They've got a tram system and Ubers and stuff like that, and it's more efficient because of the parking. It costs so much money to park and wherever you go. Because you can't just there's no free parking. You got to buy passes and everything else. So it's way cheaper for them to just do Uber. Uber just drops them off and takes off, or ride the tram. Get a card or something. So they're so stuck in those bubbles, and that's why they breed. Because it works for them. The government provides all these things, and it works. They have the subway, they have the tram, they have the police, they have the street sweepers. They have everything that when you get out of that bubble and you go anywhere else in those states, the majority of most, California, look at a map of California, county by county. That sucker's red as piss. The entire state's red, except for LA, San Francisco, places like that, where it's these heavy metropolis, where there's the majority of the population, but every other county is red. That's how all these states are. If you look at it county by county.
Georgia was too for last election.
Yeah.
It's 1 or 2, 3.
Yeah, but
counties.
Atlanta's so huge. Atlanta is so huge of an area that it doesn't matter what all these other counties, what the rest of the state wants. They have to go by what that city does. And the cities are full of corruption. They're full of overspending. They buy we buy votes here. Our city builds, we put trees in our downtown area and pay people every single day to go and sweep up and vacuum up the leaves. Did you know that? Have you seen it? Ride by in the morning, there are people with machines, city workers, and they're vacuuming up the leaves. There's not even that many leaves. They're vacuuming it up each and every morning. We pay for that. So our taxpayer dollars.
But we also paid for the trees to come in to drop those.
Yeah,
trees.
well, our taxpaying dollars went to buying those trees, planting those trees, maintaining those trees, watering those trees, everything, and we sweep up by hand. There's like 4 people on just a square alone with these machines that our tax dollars bought. Really nice, fancy ones. You would like it. Like you could vacuum up anything. It's like these big old hoses and like these big push blowers, and they blow it all up, and then they're just over there sucking it up. It's ridiculous, you know. And we paid for all of that. Why? Did you vote for trees in the square? I mean, the trees look nice and everything, but that's the kind of crap that cities do. So the bigger the city, the more corruption, the more money they have through tax dollars, the more they can buy votes. Why would you vote the mayor out? The mayor's doing look at all these businesses that he paid and bought to bring to the city. You know? You don't know that. You don't care that he raised the tax in the square from 10% to 12.5% because of all of the work that the city put into all the buildings. They raised the tax and made a new square district tax. You know, you don't
On top
know.
of the other, yeah.
We got to pay for the leaves to be sucked up and stuff. So what I'm saying is, and that's just in a small town here. Imagine these bigger cities. What goes on? I mean, John Stossel, he did he went to some park in Washington State, and they had put in like a 500 square foot bathroom facility in a park. This is just a brick building. One door is men's, one door is women's, like 2 stalls in each, couple sinks. It cost like $1.5 million for that one building in the budget that the city put out and how much it cost. Like they audited it and everything. And so he went to the park and he started asking people that were jogging or enjoying the park. So, you like this? Oh, this is a great park. I'm so happy. The city, yeah, they did a great job. Yeah. How much do you think that bathroom cost that they put in here? Oh, I love that bathroom. How much do you think it cost? I don't know, man. 100,000, 200,000. How about over $1 million? What? And people are losing their mind. What the heck did they do? Well, they padded the pockets of the people that needed their pockets padded. That's what they do. And that's what we do here. And that's what all these other places do. And it's just worse. The bigger city you get, the worse it gets. Government is corrupt as a whole. We have like, I heard Tucker say it today. We have like, it's like 300 something. It's a lot. 300 something thousand government employees. It's a freaking lot.
That sounds a lot too.
Yeah, it's insane. Why? I mean, our founding fathers believed in small, minimal, itty bitty, tiny government. There were people that didn't want to even write the Bill of Rights because they were scared that was giving too much power to the government to even say what our rights were. They wanted just the Constitution.
Yeah.
Because the Constitution was limited government. They didn't want that big government. And once you start giving the government responsibility to tell you what your rights are, then you might be going way too far. That's a slippery slope. So there were people that were against the Bill of Rights, which we all love now because all our rights are they seems like they're so easily, everybody's wanting to take them away.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just crazy to think. And I mean, when you listen to what the founding fathers had to say about stuff, I mean, it sounds like they're talking about today. Because they were thinking about today. They were thinking about what it's going to be like.
Yep.
We had a dislike on Rumble on our last.
Really?
Yeah, we had somebody disliked it.
Nice. I like that.
But they didn't give any positive criticism.
They give any criticism?
No, just disliked it. Cocksuckers.
All right. I don't care if you dislike this video or not, but at least tell us why.
Probably the audio.
The audio
This
stuff?
probably sucks. We're a lot further away from it than we were last time.
Oh, this
Probably
one's
the
probably
audio
going to
stuff.
stop.
Jealousy. 3 good-looking guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there was only 2 then, so they're probably going to be real jealous now.
Yeah.
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 We need more tattoos too.
Yeah. I've only got one. How many tattoos you got?
3.
Okay.
How many tattoos
I have
you
2.
got?
Yeah.
One on his lower back.
It's not that. No, it's the mail tramp stamp. It's on my upper shoulders.
All right, what else are we talking about? Anything else?
I think that's it, man. I think we're good.
I think we're good. All right, well, we're going to keep doing this weekly because that's the easiest thing for us to do. We're going to get better and better at it, maybe come up with some topics. We're in the process of fixing up the studio and buying some new equipment and everything else. So be patient with us. We love criticism. Even when you comment or dislike it, it still helps with the algorithm. So keep on going. We appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, look, every day that they see me, they like, what's up, dude? I tell them not much, but we know it's not true. Got a to-do list that every day I gotta run through. I don't wanna small talk about it, let the work talk for me. Go. I don't tell nobody about my secrets. Keep it to myself, cause nowadays they wanna leak it. I don't even share it with my family as a recent. Not cause I don't trust them, I would rather let them see it for themselves. I got insecurities, I don't wear them on my sleeve, so you know I gotta keep them on the shelf. Like awards I don't have yet. And every second that I wasted talking about it is a second I can have back. Look, I don't wanna tell them everything I'm gonna do. I would rather show them everything that I achieved. I don't wanna tell them that I got it with no proof. I would rather show them the receipts. I find it funny how they say you gotta talk less and do more. When I rap, I talk more and do less. Already had a blue check before I made the music, and now I'm making verified hits every stew session. Go. I got ways to go, I know I never stop. Opportunities are coming to me, I'ma let them knock. Open up the door and let them in, how could I ever